to part 22 of my series of videos showing my romance novel collection. And these are the books that I obtained in July 2020. Some of these ones just came in the mail yesterday. A whole bunch of Second Chance at Love. And then these I got over the past week or two. And we're just going to run through all of them. And let's start first with this one, which was nice. Catch of the Season by Regina Scott, published by Zebra in 1999. It's part of their traditional Regency line. I actually won this on Facebook from Regina Scott. She was offering a prize if you participated in a thread about Zebra and Signet traditional Regencies from the 90s. She would randomly choose a poster in the thread to send them a copy of the book, this book, and it has that little note from Regina Scott right in it. Thanks for sharing info on your amazing collection. It's also autographed inside. And I haven't started reading it. It just came in the mail yesterday. But it was pretty awesome. It has a very dense textural style. At least judging from the opening pages here. And we'll show more stuff here that we got. Now, I got this in the at a thrift store recently. This is a British edition, Pan, published by Pan Books in the UK. Georgette Heyer's Civil Contract. And I always like getting British editions. First published in 1961. This edition is 1973. And printed in Great Britain. And I look forward to reading this. They also had, there's some other authors, they also had a mystery novel that Georgette Heyer had written. And I've not read any of her mysteries, but I've heard that they're not very good. So I didn't buy the mystery novel. But I did buy the Regency. Now, also there, another British writer of that period, the thrift store had these two pyramid editions from the 1960s, reprinting her novels from like 1963, 1964, and A Modern Love Story. So these were part of like a series that, back then Pyramid was doing a sort of author branding of Denise Robbins, who was very popular in the UK. And I think she was the president, maybe the first or second president of the Romantic Writers Association, which is the UK's, version of the Romance Writers of America, although it actually was formed almost 20 years before that. So these are kind of cool. I actually have another Denise Robbins here as well that I had gotten from another source. I'll show you that here in a second. Now, Bantam Books in the 1970s also had a Denise Robbins series. This one's #1 in a series, it says. England's Mistress of Romance. This one's a little more worn. And you can see the little date stamp there, August 14th, 1975. That's published in May 1975. Now here's a Signet book that I bought through the mail. Come Kiss a Stranger by Ann Starr. Now I have another Ann Starr book that's also published by Signet. It was an Adventures in Love, of their Adventures in Love line, a series that they had, sort of like a Harlequin line. Some more of the Signet books. And Ann Starr's real name was Annette Sanford. oddly, it says first printing 1981. It says copyright 1982, so that seems a bit strange. Speaking of strange, Melissa Masters only wrote 2 books. And I bought this one. This was, I believe, her first book. And this is, see, it says Adele, James A. Bryan's book, which came out in 1978. However, this is a 1991 edition, reprinted by Leisure Books. And it says her name was Melissa Masters. And I previously had her other book, too. This is the actual Dell, you can tell from the colored page. So this is the actual Dell Bryan's May 1980 of her second book, sort of the sequel. And these are the only 2 books that according to the internet, these are the only 2 books she wrote. And so it's a little strange because I looked on the catalog of copyright entries and I didn't see an entry for Melissa Masters. Now the thing is, on Goodreads, both of these books have gotten some bad reviews. They don't have many reviews, only about 3 reviews, but all of them are sort of saying that they were terrible books. And in fact, one reviewer was questioning whether Melissa Masters was actually a male writer. And so the consensus seemed to be that these were sort of to cash in on the popularity of Kathleen Woodward and Laurie McBain and Rosemary Rogers and those writers of the 1970s. But anyways, I'm going to keep an open mind and read them, and we'll see. I mean, they look like the sort of thing I would like to read, but we'll find out. Also got at the thrift store the first printing of Judith McNaught's A Kingdom of Dreams, which was recently profiled on an episode of the Fated Mates podcast. This has the actual step back cover, which is what they call the cover that is inside. And show there, Kingdom of Dreams. And March 1989. Whoop. Alright. Now, also got at the thrift store the Warenda Saga number 9 by Mary Burchell, Remembered Serenade. Now, this was actually originally a Harlequin romance novel, originally published as Harlequin Romance number 1936. These books were all published originally as Harlequin romances in the 1960s and 70s. But then, since they, has a bit of a bent corner there. This is from, originally from 1975, was the Harlequin Romance edition. And then they reprinted them as the Warenda Saga in the late 70s. So since it was, I guess, a continuing, not continuing main characters, I don't believe, but characters, sort of the backdrop of the story. A musical backdrop. Anyways, here's a Harlequin Romance subscription series, book number 155 from October 1993 by Anne Wheel, who wrote a lot of the Harlequin Romance and Harlequin Presents, like in the late 60s and into the 1970s. And then by the 80s, she was just kind of in the subscription series instead, which was available to subscribers. And I don't know whatever happened to her, because I think by the 90s, she was done. But she was a popular writer at one point in the 1970s, popularly appearing along with Ann Mather and Ann Hampson, 2 other Anns. Originally published in 1992. So, now here are 2 recent books that I bought. a local Salvation Army thrift store had a tub, or not tub. They were two boxes, sort of boxes like this box, but bigger. But they were filled with uh, Harlequin Desire and Harlequin Presents books from like 2014 and 2015, and they were in great condition. They looked brand new. And their books are at the store 50 cents each for paperback, so I didn't buy. I had to be a little choosy, so I ended up buying these two books by Brenda Jackson. This one is from 2014. This one is from 2015. Harlequin Desire, and they're both Westmoreland novels, which were. I started reading this one. Unfortunately, I'm not liking it too much so far because there's so many characters. Here's, in fact, a little map. You know, I mean, there is the main hero and heroine, but the way the relationships are all kind of, you know, her older sister had married one of his brothers. You know, there's all the whole family and stuff. So I'm only on page like 50, I guess. But I had to keep going back to the beginning, like, okay, now how is she related to him, or you know, or she's not related to him, but what's the connection? So you know, I hate to prejudge it, but usually I can tell if I'm liking a novel at the very beginning. And so unfortunately, it looks like this might just be a 2-star book for me so far. But we'll see how it goes. Because right now I'm in the middle of a flashback. It's a lengthy flashback. Now here's another Harlequin Desire that I bought, but this is actually a recent one. I get this at another thrift store. This is July 2020. And I just got it because it was new. You know, it was like nearly a brand new book. And two other brand new books were two Harlequin special editions. And The Reluctant Fiancé, May 2020. And this one is literally brand new, August 2020, which hasn't even happened yet. The dates are sort of like the off-sale dates. So when you see it says August 2020 and it hasn't happened yet, that's sort of the off-sale date, so the vendor knows to pull the book after that date. This one looks interesting. The heroine is a widow and looks like struggling with cancer. So it's sort of a interesting idea. Now we have A Gentle Pirate by Jane Castle, aka Jane Ann Krentz, and this was like her first book, or at least what she acknowledges as her first book. She had done some McFadden romances around this time as well, but which originally came out in 1981, I believe, but this is actually a reprint. So this came out in 1986, where it reprinted the book because at this point they were doing a program, they say, of the Candlelight Ecstasy Classics. So it came out in 1980, and this is the 1986 edition. The Dell Candlelight, their original Candlelight series started in 1967. Now here we have a whole bunch of Second Chance at Love books. And I'm just going to have to run through these pretty quickly. Second Chance at Love started in 1981 and was Berkeley Jove's attempt at a category romance series following, I believe, the failure of Circle of Love, which was a much hyped, short-lived category romance line that preceded it. The Second Chance Love was more successful. Started, I believe, the founding editor was Carolyn Nichols. Yep, and they would always have these little editorial page introductions to the books each month. So Carolyn Nichols was the first editor, and this is book number 29. Originally, they had they would have that butterfly emblem on there, and they kind of had a look that was similar to both Harlequin Presents and Silhouette Romance, and Candle Ecstasy at that time too. This is book 40. And we're just going to have to... Now, I believe by this time Ellen Edwards had become... Oh, no, Carolyn Nichols was still... But by this time, Ellen Edwards had become in 1982. So Ellen Edwards was the editor for the bulk of the Second Chance at Love line, although around 1988 she left and some other people became editor. This one looks really fun. Savage Eden. Dirk Chandler was a man like no other, the invincible leader of their expedition into the mysterious Amazon, and a breaker of women's hearts. Blah, blah, blah. As the primitive jungle strips away her inhibitions, Valencia responds with wild abandon to Dirk's bold advances. So, it's unusual. We'll keep going here. Number 80. 103. Now this one was a Regency. Most of Second Chance of Love books were contemporaries. But this was, they did a few Regencies, and they'll say Regency right on the front. And since historicals are my favorite type of romance, that's probably one that I will enjoy more. Starfire. Second Chance at Love also had a spin-off series called To Have and to Hold, which was about married couples at this time, when that ran for, I don't know, 40 books, something like that. Now, around this time, they, you can see they made the cover art bigger, too. So, I think it was like in April or February of 1986, they made the cover art bigger. This is August 1984, so it must have been February 84, I would think. Something like that. Anyway, this is interesting because it's written by Francine Rivers, who, if I remember right, is the... she was a popular writer and then went into inspirational romance. I'll just run through more of these. And they later had another cover change, but we're a bit away from that yet. And Linda Barlow was a name I recognize. But some of the names, didn't really become famous or anything like that. They just wrote for these categories. Carol Buck, I read one of her books recently, A Silhouette Desire from the 90s, and I enjoyed it. It was very modern. Finally, here's two books from the, this is near the end of the line, where they gave it a nicer cover design, I think. Showed off the artwork more. Sort of downplayed the butterfly motif. And the editor of this one is Joan Marlowe. This is January 1988, book 431. And the editor on this one is a different person. Hilary Sige. And this one, April 1988, so in a very short time, because 359, Ellen Edwards was editor. Yeah, that was in September 86. So maybe in sometime in 87, Ellen Edwards left. And then I believe the line ended in 1989. And that was it. So, and Candle Ecstasy had ended in 87. So this was sort of a contraction of the boom that occurred in the early 80s of category romances. Anyways, so that's it. That's the there's all the books that I've gotten recently in this month. Thanks for watching. Bye.